Hello, my dudes. My name's Kevin, and you're watching Duty's Daggers. We are reviewing a super badass knife today. First, before we get into it, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do it. You'll be happy that you did, and follow me on Instagram at duties_daggers as well. Um, this is a fun channel. We have some fun. We do lives, we hang out, we talk knives, we talk other whatever we want, and it's a fun time. So, the Chaves Scapegoat is what we are going to be reviewing today. This thing is really, really cool. It is the second most expensive knife I've ever owned, and I'm not letting that affect my judgment and critiques of it. I'm going to be totally fair, point out things that I like, things that I don't like. I'm going to be totally honest with you folks and tell you exactly what I think about it. And we're going to go over the whole knife and, its features and all that good stuff. Before we get into it, though, I usually link in the description the knives to take you to somewhere to purchase them. And in this case, I will not be able to because this knife and all Chaves knives usually sell out immediately when they are dropped on various distributors' websites. They are, they're made in smaller numbers than some other production knives, and they're popular. People love them. This one I got very lightly used on the Reddit knife swap, which is where I do most of my knife buying and trading for used stuff, at least. So keep an eye out on there. Keep an eye out on other secondary markets, or set alerts for knife distributors for when there's going to be a drop, so that you don't miss out. All right, let's take some measurements real quick. We have a closed length of 4 3/8. We have an overall length of 7 7/8, and a blade length of 3 1/4. And the cutting edge is about 2 7/8. All right, let's get into it. This is a mean looking knife, man. If you're familiar with Chaves designs, when you see this, you immediately know that it's a Chaves. Not just by the, his little logo there, the skull key, but just the overall look of it. It screams Chaves. We have full titanium construction. These are full thickness slabs of titanium here without any milling on the inside. So this thing is fairly weighty, but in a very good way to me. I love it. I love how heavy it is. I love how substantial it feels in the hand. These scales are pretty thick, so it really fills out your hand nicely. Zero hot spots. This clip here is nice and flat. It works very well. It's got a skull on it. That's kind of Chaves's signature clip. But if you don't like that, these new ones come with plain clips as well in the box. We have an M390 blade that is very sharp. I haven't used the crap out of this yet. I've carried it a handful of times, so I haven't had to touch up the edge yet. It's still very, very sharp. Pretty thick blade stock here, but it does come down to a pretty darn thin edge. Not the thinnest thing I've ever felt, but pretty surprisingly thin, actually, considering how thick this blade stock is. So I'm very happy that they took it down that thin. This blade shape, I would probably call it a drop point. You could call it a straight clip point, probably too. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably call it a drop point. We have a really nice satin finish on the flat up there, and then just the belt sander satin finish on the bevel. And holy crap, does it look good, man. I really, really like the edge bevel here, or sorry, the bevel. They could have gotten it more shiny, more polished, but I really like the contrast between, the higher polished satin up there, and then, just that belt sander finish on the bevel. It looks really, really good, man. Really good. The edges are knocked down here on the spine a little bit, not too much. and then here on the swedge they are knocked down a bit less. We have a huge finger choil here. So you can hold it back here, or you can choke up here. It's a very generous finger choil. You know, it's large, it's deep. It really is very comfortable to stick your finger in there. And another kind of cool thing is, you know, since it's so deep, this edge is very close to the edge of your knuckle there. So I don't know if that serves any big, you know, utilitarian purpose, but it feels kind of cool. I don't know. It just feels like you have a really good grip on this thing, and you have a lot of control over the edge, is what it kind of makes me feel like. So that's kind of the general construction of the thing. We'll go more into detail, but first let's do just a couple of quick size comparisons. I should have done it earlier. We have the Benchmade Griptilian, slightly longer than the Chaves here. The Spyderco PM2. There you go. And then, let's see, what else? Let's do a couple of Civivis. The Civivi Elementum. The Civivi Lumi. There you go. And then let's do just two more. We'll do the Demco 8020.5. There you go. And I guess we'll do... Yeah, we'll do the Finch Holiday, just because it's sitting right here, Tandy. So that should give you kind of a good idea of how big the knife is. So, like I said, ergonomically, there is nothing, absolutely nothing giving me a hot spot in either the choked back position or the choked up position. Neither one hurts my hand at all. The blade, I love. It's mean looking. It's thin behind the edge. You know, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, some people will say that, you know, for such a large handle and with this big, huge choil, you're kind of missing out on some blade length, or, you know, some usable cutting edge. For me, I do not mind at all. This here is more than enough blade than I will probably ever need. And it's worth it to me to lose a little bit of edge to have a nice choke up spot. And that's just me. I really love to choke up on my knives, and you know, I do not care about losing out on some edge. Titanium frame lock. There's a built-in over travel stop. We have the steel lock bar insert. The relief cut is on the outside on this knife, but fortunately it does not snag on my pocket. That does happen on some frame locks, you know, when this relief cut is on the outside, but fortunately this one doesn't seem to be a problem. What else? We have nice, I really like these thumb studs. They're really nice and fat. We have a titanium backspacer. The edges here are nicely chamfered. It's just, it's very well built. It's a simple looking knife, but it just has that spice to it that I love. Now let's talk about the action. You know, obviously we have thumb studs only. I can reverse flick this thing pretty easily, and the thumb stud action is very good. As long as you make sure you're not putting pressure on that lock bar, very good action. And the closing action, absolutely falls shut. Absolutely. Just amazing. My only small complaint is that you kind of, after you disengage the lock bar, the blade starts falling, and then it takes a little while for you get to this point where the detent ball has to then jump up onto the tang of the blade on the face of the tang there. So when you're shutting it, you have to make sure you get past that point, and then you can let it fall shut. If you let it fall all the way, this point right here will sometimes get your thumb. It goes past the thumbnail, and actually I've cut myself once or twice right there doing that. So you just have to be aware of that. I usually just put my finger up here, get it past that point, and then bam, super easy. So I wish that was a little bit earlier. You know, some knives you disengage the lock bar and then very quickly you jump up onto, you get past that D10 ball and then you're good. This one, see, I'm still in that kind of limbo space, so I can't shake it shut. But get it past it. Super smooth action. The access to the lock bar is good. There's not a huge cutout, but this gap in here is pretty wide, and they have kind of chamfered that lock bar a bit. So I have no complaints at all with the lock bar access. It's really easy to get your thumb in there. No problems at all there for me. Unless you have huge thumbs, that won't be a problem for you either. This thing is bad freaking ass, man. This is the first Chaves that I've owned. I believe it has a smaller blade than some of the other models. This one just spoke to me because it has a nice low tip, and that's a little bit more practical for me. I loved the huge finger choil. A lot of his other designs do not have this kind of finger choil, and I am very happy with this thing. Extremely happy with it. And check out this darn click. One of the best. Oh, I'll put it right next to the microphone. Oh, it's so good, man. I love that click. Oh, amazing. What else? That's kind of it. Relatively straightforward knife, but like I said, it has that spice that I love. I mean, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. It has elements that I love. Just how big the finger choil is, the bevel, the fat thumb studs, the way the handle is shaped. I can't really put my finger on one thing specifically that gives it that pop, that edge that I love, but everything combined together, put together just makes this this knife that I gravitate towards so heavily, and I know a lot of other people do too. That's it's a real feat of design where you can make a knife that doesn't have a ton of bling, but still draws people into it with its simplicity and just how all these lines intersect and join with each other. It's just it's really amazing. If I sat down with a pen and paper and tried to draw a knife like this that drew people in like this, I would have an extremely hard time doing it. That some people just have the gift, and Enrique, I think his name is Enrique Chaves. He has that. He has that ability, and he just makes some really freaking cool knives. He does a lot of custom knives that he makes, in his own shop. His production knives are made by Riot, which is an overseas manufacturer, probably considered the best overseas manufacturer out there. So even though he isn't making these by his own hands or, in his own shop, they are still a very, very good quality, and, it's his design. He told them exactly what to do and how exactly to make the knife in every small detail. So, the Chaves Scapegoat. I freaking love it. Actually, you know what? Real quick, let me show you the clip that it comes with, the plain one, just in case any of you guys are curious what his clip looks like. Here's the box they come in. Nice magnetic box. And here is the plain titanium clip that it also comes with. So if you're not a fan of the skull clip, not a worry, not a problem. Just swap it on out. This one's a little bit more rounded, a little bit of a different shape. I like the skull clip. I might switch it out just to kind of see what it looks like on there. But I'm a fan of the skull clip for sure. All right, that'll do it. That's the review of the Chaves Scapegoat. Thanks for watching. I do have a Patreon. It's linked down below. I have a discount code at White Mountain Knives, which is also down in the description. And use my links if you are interested in purchasing anything. Using those links does help me out a little bit. I get a small kickback from some of those links. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.